Friends and fellow citizens, I stand before you tonight under indictment for the alleged crime of having voted at the last presidential election without having a lawful right to vote. It shall be my work this evening to prove to you that in thus voting, I not only committed no crime, but instead simply exercised my citizens' rights guaranteed to me and all United States citizens by the national Constitution, beyond the power of any state to deny. Those were the opening lines of a speech made by Susan B. Anthony 140 years ago in 1872. Now we are here 140 years later, and it does not seem to me that much has changed. From New York, where Susan B. Anthony gave her speech, to L.A., where the late Rodney King took a beating, to Florida, where the late Trayvon Martin rests without the ability to tell his side of the story. It can be said that we were less civilized when Susan B. Anthony was simply trying to vote and was arrested for it. It can be said that we should have been more civilized before Rodney King had mercilessly been beaten. It can be said that we were less civilized when Trayvon Martin was looking suspicious for wearing a hoodie sweatshirt. And now we can say that it's a bad idea to wear, of all things, a hoodie sweatshirt in the dark. It can also be said that, hey, those are unfortunate stories. Those are stories that made this country change. Or one can say, those are stories of the past and time goes on, and oh well, that didn't affect me directly anyways. Or it can be said that those people were all incredibly humiliated and had suffered in one way or another privately and publicly, and were all unarmed individuals. But I've got a new story, and I'm wondering how it affects you. Because if you think those are uncivilized and horrible, try listening to another one. In case you're wondering, I don't get a press conference because I don't have a lawyer. So I'm just going to give a people's conference the YouTube way. What I'm about to tell you is not easy for me. It's humiliating, degrading, and life-threatening in more ways than one. But if I don't speak up, defend myself, my dignity, and my rights, no one will. Especially to restore my image among friends, family, acquaintances, and all future endeavors, however mundane or significant they may be. I too was once a sturdy ship waiting in the harbor ready to set sail, until one moment in time that someone tried to wreck me and cast me aside. Well, this ship's captain, otherwise known as God, has prepared and is now ready to recover what was lost in the storm. And one more thing. I don't have a lawyer standing here with me because I don't have the $100,000 that one lawyer wanted for me to even begin to work on my case. But I do believe, however, that I have enough confidence and faith in this great country's moral compass that what I'm about ready to tell you will be more than sufficient to help get this matter in the right direction. Here's my police brutality story. It all started on April 15, 2010, a warm sunny evening here in Columbus, Ohio. I was wearing this same outfit I have on right now. This same sweater, same black pants, and the same black shoes. The only thing I don't have with me is my stolen purse. At the time, I was a 42-year-old homemaker with 3 small children living in the suburb of Upper Arlington, Ohio. I want to re-emphasize that I was unarmed and had no criminal record. My background is that I am an Upper Arlington High School graduate and a graduate of Ohio State University with a bachelor's degree. Moments prior to this police brutality inflicted on me, myself and a longtime friend had taken a brief walk down Park Street in the Short North District of Columbus. What was supposed to be a short visit to a nightclub turned out to be the worst nightmare of my life. My friend and I were walking down the very crowded sidewalk with food vendors and such about 10:45 p.m. when we entered a nice and fun-looking nightclub known at the time as Sugar Bar, located at 525 Park Street. It wasn't 25 to 30 minutes that we were in there, and I was dancing on a platform. I had placed a wristlet purse directly behind my left ankle, in front of the solid drywall wall about 1 foot behind me, and watched for it closely as I was dancing. About 10 minutes later, I immediately noticed that my wristlet purse was stolen. Without any hesitation, I jumped off the platform and headed as fast as I could to the front door where the doorman was sitting on a chair out on the sidewalk. I told him that I urgently needed his help because my purse was just stolen. He did nothing. I said again, "My purse just got stolen. Please help me." With the doorman's total lack of concern for me as a patron, I was suddenly put in the position of feeling like I had to establish security measures for the sugar bar. While the doorman remained unconcerned about the matter, he saw me then attempt to hold my arms out, trying to slow the people down that were coming out of the club that could have possibly had my purse. He never got off his seat to help, but instead signaled to someone and then pointed to my head. I thought to myself, finally, I'm going to get help with this situation. I didn't get help with this situation. Instead, I got handcuffed from behind and placed into a Columbus police cruiser. I naturally got very irate because my driver's license with my full name, my credit card, my cash, my purse, and my makeup had just been stolen and I was being arrested for it. The situation I was thrown into got progressively worse. Meanwhile, inside Sugar Bar, my friend starts looking for me, except he cannot find me anywhere. He starts asking people if they saw anyone that looked like me, and they say no. He comes outside and starts asking more strangers if they had seen someone wearing what I had on, and no one had seen me. Finally, he asks a Columbus police officer. The officer says there is a Jane Doe in the cruiser. Imagine that. I have no purse, no identification, no nothing, and they even label me as a Jane Doe. And I was very loudly explaining to the officer that my purse was stolen. Through the open door of the cruiser, I then saw my friend talking to the Columbus police officer. While I was handcuffed, I was trying to yell to my friend that my purse was stolen. Columbus police wouldn't let me tell him what happened. They wouldn't let me communicate to him what my purse looked like. In fact, they quizzed him about the description and whereabouts of my purse, instead of the Jane Doe laying in the back of their car that was the liar. In fact, they never believed me that my purse was stolen. I was completely enraged by now, as one can imagine. But freedom of speech is not a crime, if you know what I mean. But it gets worse. And I wasn't drunk, and the police know it because 2 police departments never gave me a breathalyzer. Yet while I was still both unarmed and handcuffed, they wanted to make sure that I felt pain. I was hogtied with the TARP procedure. That stands for the Total Appendage Restraint Procedure. This procedure has been known to kill many people because of its severe and brutal nature. This is the practice of tying both my arms and legs together backwards. But these Columbus peace officers thought they would get me off their hands and carry me, screaming in agony, hogtied down the sidewalk in front of at least 100 spectators, and place me in the hands of the Franklin County Sheriff's Department. Then I suddenly figured out now I was in someone else's custody. Now they could do a whodunit and blame each other for the physical damage to my person, and that it wind up being no one's fault for lack of proof of who made what bruise. So instead of simply taking me down to the Columbus Police Jail, I was brought to the Franklin County Women's Workhouse. This is where I sustained more physical and mental abuse. Around 6 a.m., long after I had my jail clothes on, after having been fingerprinted and my handcuffs off, I was sitting in a single cell near the processing desk with another African American female. A tall male opened the jail cell door, demanding me to tell him my name. In severe disbelief that after I knew for a fact that my friend had already told them my name, my address, etc., that these people would have no idea what my name was still. Then this tall man grabbed my arm, jacked it up behind my back as far as he could, grabbed my hair, and slammed the right side like this, and slammed the right side of my head as hard as he could into a metal bench within the jail cell, all the while saying, "How do you like it now?" Little did he know that I had a 12-year-old benign brain tumor already in the same area. He was bashing my head into the metal bench. The pre-existing benign brain tumor was benign for 12 years. Unfortunately for me, I did not get out of there for many, many, many more hours. I was even told by another inmate that she was wanting to stab me to death with her pencil just because she could. Although my bail was posted by 10 a.m., I did not get out of there until 3:30 a.m. the next day. Meanwhile, while I was being brutalized over my purse being stolen, the criminal that stole my purse was out having a good time, running up well over $1,000 on my credit card. They even managed to get their hair done at a salon, get many full tanks of gasoline, fast food, clothes, and groceries, dollar items, and coffee to keep going. Thankfully, while I was incarcerated, the bank noticed the theft pattern and called my home. My credit cards were shut down and verified that they were in fact stolen. But it doesn't stop there. After I got out of jail, I went home to get some rest. I took a shower, and then I drove myself and my witness down to the Columbus, Ohio Police Department headquarters to finally report that my purse was stolen. In the year 2010, it actually took the secretary at the police headquarters to take my police report. I showed her all of my bruises covering me head to toe. She said that I needed to go to internal affairs and that it was still open that day and just up the street. So there I went. My witness and I were interviewed and I was photographed. We had to do the same for the sheriff's department about 1.5 weeks later. Except during that sheriff's department's interview, I was accused of damaging myself before I went to their office to make it look serious, because to them it was impossible in their minds to look that bad almost 2 weeks later. I wrote letters to the Department of Internal Affairs to both police departments 2 or 3 weeks after brain surgery describing the horrific event. I even sent the Internal Affairs correspondences via certified letter to Mayor Michael Coleman's office shortly after my surgery, and have yet to ever receive a response of any kind. After all, what is a mayor to say to a lifetime citizen of Columbus, Ohio, who remembers vividly the unfortunate man that died of hog tying here in Columbus, Ohio in 1995 by the Columbus Police Department? I thought we banned that practice here in Columbus back then. To date, the end result is this. One police department called the incident justified. The other exonerated their peace officer. So I came down with stage 3 brain cancer in the exact location that my head was smashed into the metal bench 2 months later. I went on and had brain surgery. I recovered with the instinctive and urgent need to defend my image, my integrity, and my rights as an American citizen. As an unarmed woman, a mother, and doing absolutely nothing that would be characterized as suspicious. As a result of all of these actions, I have filed and served a formal complaint in federal court here in Columbus, Ohio, for the many violations of my United States constitutional rights in the sum of $10 million, or whatever a jury would find suitable above that to remedy the actions that were maliciously perpetrated on me in one single night. Because this series of events is so unbelievable, I have been forced to be pro se thus far, and the American public needs to know that I've had a very difficult time retaining counsel to represent me and my rights. All the lawyers I have spoken to have wished me good luck. A couple of them never called me back after I explained to their secretaries the nature of this case. One even wanted $100,000 up front to start and called it a high-stakes case. Finally, I'm asking if there is anyone who would come forward and contact me, because they would have been one of the 100 or so witnesses that watched me being carried down the street, screaming in agony, wearing these clothes on a warm evening on tax day, April 15th, 2010. In conclusion, as you can see, I'm a very fortunate person who is still, with God's help, able to be breathing in order to tell my story. It is not pure coincidence that in this country, with saddened hearts, can endlessly scratch our heads and wonder why these things happened with our peace officers. 2 years ago, I did not even know there was such a title as a peace officer. Imagine how I felt when I heard that one. I'm still not sure what that is yet. For those that thought brain cancer, fear, and intimidation, and silent indifference or mocking would make me weak and that I would eventually die and go away, I am not made of a weak soul, and I don't think you are either. My constitutional rights back me up when I'm lost in this country. My faith in God backs me up when my thoughts are lost in the world's problems. We all bleed the same blood. I am you, and we are us. This needs to remain a safe country with fair, honest justice. It's urgent. Please help, as this is a tremendous task for me, but a fundamental part of the foundation of this country. I am asking for your help. And I swear that this is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God.